Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. And in this episode, I am talking to the wonderful Paula Clipsham, who is a multi-award winning salon owner, has built the most fabulous business. And what we're doing is taking her journey from where she first started with that inspiration right the way through to winning so many awards that I think she needs a bigger cupboard to have them all housed in. It's an amazing journey. Welcome to the show, Paula.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, I know. The thing is, I know this is just going to be so inspiring because your journey from start to where you are now is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah. I know we were just chatting just before we started recording. I think it was way back in 2016 when we first met.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And a professional beauty. Okay.
We may have even connected before then, but I remember going to professional beauty in London and coming up to the stand. And I'd already decided that I was going to join Salon Success Freedom because, as I've said to you in the past, being a salon owner can be a really lonely place. You don't really fit in with your team because there has to be some kind of boundary. And it's not the type of industry where you make friends with other salon owners in your area. And way back then, we didn't have social media. We didn't have WhatsApp groups. So it was an incredibly lonely time. And I needed a mentor that could help me guide the vision that I had in my head to what I've got today.
Yeah. And right, let's go back to that vision because the salon that you started with is very, very different to what you have now. So what, first of all, inspired you to take your own salon or open your own salon?
My parents have always had their own business. So it was a given that I would have my own business at some stage, no matter what industry I'd been in. And I'd always had treatments as a late teens, early 20s. I'd always had treatments. I travelled around the world before I went to Australia, spent 8 months in Australia, 6 weeks in Southeast Asia, and came home, worked in a nightclub, which I loved. And then all of a sudden it was like, I really should settle down now and actually start a career.
And what age were you there?
22, I think.
Right.
21, 22. And I went to a private college in Cambridge called the Cambridge School of Beauty Therapy. Spent a year there, really intensive course. I mean, we had like 2 weeks off in the summer just before our exams. And I always knew that I wouldn't be happy working for someone else. So as soon as I qualified, I started doing mobile treatments. I do regret not working in a salon environment because I found because I had my own business, I had no one else to compare my treatments to. So I used to go to other salons. During my college days, I subscribed to Professional Beauty. So I'd open up these magazines and see all these award-winning salons. And I was like, one day I want that. One day that's going to be me. And so I would go around to other salons, even as a mobile therapist. I'd go around to other award-winning salons and think, right, okay, I'm going to just take that little piece of information and the way that they dress their couches and they have herbal teas, etc., etc. So even as a mobile therapist, I would do that. And then I started off in one room, rented one room in the hairdressers. Goodness, probably about 35 years ago now. And then I was pregnant with my son, who's 26, and I was offered the basement of the salon in Sevenoaks. Yeah. So there was a hairdresser's above, and we had a 2-treatment basement with a sauna and a very strange little square manicure room that you could get the smallest little manicure table in. And I started there, and I knew that I wanted to grow. I was very embarrassed of the salon that I had.
I can remember, because that was the point, I think, when you joined Salon Success Freedom, because, and I can always remember one of the things you said was that it was, you just weren't seeing natural daylight during the day, and you just found it that it was like quite oppressive that you were...
I felt like a mole. I felt like a mole, especially I'd always do 12-hour days. So in the winter, I'd go in at 7:45 in the morning and it would be dark. And then I'd leave at 8:10 in the evening and it would be dark. And my homeopath would say to me, your body feels as if it does night shifts because it just never sees daylight.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's still feels quite emotional going back to those days.
Mm. And then you had a team there, didn't you? You started to grow a team.
Yeah. So I inherited 2 therapists when I took over the salon in Sevenoaks, and I had 1 therapist working in Bexley Heath at the time. And then we grew to, there was 3 of us. I think there was 3 of us, 4. There was 4 and a receptionist for quite a while.
And then when did things change then?
Lockdown was so tough for so many people. And yet for me, she says without getting too emotional, it's the best thing that ever happened. Yeah. Because the hairdressers were failing, unmotivated, really poor management skills. They didn't feel appreciated at all. So the hairdressing side of the building was failing. So when we came back, July 2020, the hairdressers didn't open. So it was like walking through a hairdressing graveyard to go downstairs. And then it took from July 2020 to April 21 for the landlord to agree that I could take over both floors. And
But I can always remember, because I mean, obviously we were all together in Beauty Directors Club at that point. And I think all being together, supporting each other I think that was just so key, that we were keeping each other motivation up, that we can do this and we can get through this. And I can also remember your motivation seemed to get stronger and stronger. And it was just, and I think that's where I started to see the determination that you were going to come back, and you were going to come back in a whole new way. And oh boy, have you done that. So tell us now what happened. Sort of, you came back, you came from like your mole hole.
From underground. I just think I'd spent 22 years suppressing all my ambitions. It was a really scary time because the business was actually doing really well. We had some incredibly loyal clients that loved our little salon downstairs. But for me to go from renting a basement to signing a 10-year lease on a building that I would have wanted was really scary. You know, it's just, you're signing your life away to a certain degree. So as soon as I had the opportunity to take over both floors, I just kept going. And I had all these mood boards in my head of what I wanted my salon to look like. And as I said, years ago, I'd start looking, and I was always looking at these award-winning salons and thinking, right, that's what I want and that's what I want. So when we eventually signed the lease, we closed for a month. And we went on various courses and had holidays. And I had a team of builders come in and completely refurbish the salon. Spent most of my life savings at that time, and just completely transformed it. Transformed it from a at the time, just before lockdown, we had actually created 3 treatment rooms downstairs. We got rid of the sauna and transformed it from a 3 treatment room basement clinic into 5 treatment rooms that we've got now, 2 changing rooms, much bigger staff room, manicure and pedicure, and a reception area that I never had. So
yeah, I mean, the salon is absolutely beautiful. I've still yet to come and
I know,
visit.
you must come
but
down.
Photographs when you look at it, and obviously, you know, that I've read sort of your profile kind of thing in your award entries and things.
Yeah.
Just absolutely phenomenal what you've done. But I can remember as well, because when you first started, you with a team, I can remember that because that was the first time you'd had a team way back then, and now how you handle your team now to how you handled your team then is totally different. So again, what changed there, kind of thing?
Maturity, I think, and I'm not very good at letting things go if I can't control them. I like everything a certain way, and I think because I was very frustrated with the salon we had, with the business that we had, I think I put too much control on the team. Whereas now, they have so much more control. I'm a lot more relaxed with them. I'm such in a happy place, and the business is just everything I've ever dreamed of. And the team did that as well. It wasn't just me. The team created it. The team they're loyal to our clients. Without them, we wouldn't have clients.
Obviously, to go from the size you were to your 5 treatment rooms, and I know you've got a reception team now.
Yeah.
What did you do to expand? Or was that a natural expansion, or did you have to do lots and lots of extra marketing?
Yes, I did a huge amount of recruitment for front of house when I only had one. And the team have just, every year, the team just seemed to get bigger and bigger. And we've got 12 now, a team of 12. We can't fit everyone on the sofa anymore. There was one stage where all of us struggled. I think it was probably January to March 22, where we all thought we'd created this monster that no one really knew. They hadn't found their groove. The team still hadn't really settled into the new space. But then all of a sudden, I think communication, we have, I think we've got about 6 WhatsApp groups. I'm always on the phone. And I think it's just allowing them to be the therapists that they are. They're professionals. They're trained. They know what they're doing. Allowing them that freedom and communication. We all communicate so well. And I've said it so many times. They are an incredible team. They I don't know, more emotion coming up. Yeah, they are a phenomenal team. I'm very, very fortunate that they chose me and I chose them.
Yeah, and I think this is very, very important. It's like, as your profile of the business and of yourself has risen, the thing is that you become more, it's a two-way thing, isn't it? It's getting very, very specific on who you want on your team, but it's like a magnet. You've got, once you have that environment, you're going to attract the right therapists. Yeah. And I think it gets to that point where it is, it's like a perfect match kind of thing. Yeah. And obviously, because now, I mean, is this 2 years you've won Team of the Year? Or
2 consecutive years for Team of the Year.
Yeah. And so well deserved.
Thank you.
But I think the recruitment part, because you don't lose your team either. I mean, I'm always so proud. I've only ever lost one therapist to another salon in 36 years. And it's how you look after that team. And it's giving them responsibility, but make them I mean, it's been proven time and time again that, especially in our industry, it's not money that is the biggest factor. You know, I speak to so many salon owners who they're so hung up on how much they pay in their team, and and they forget about the element that is the most important. It's waking up on a morning and wanting to come to work and feeling part of it and feeling like you are making a great contribution. That always I think in every profession sits far higher. Money, yes, is important, but it isn't that most important factor. And I think that's where what you have in bucket loads done with your team is that they feel equally a big part of it. And I know you handle your team financially in a way that I do with mine as well, where I've always set up my business to be that if I'm doing well and the business is doing well, then they do well.
100%.
And I know now we do the beauty roundup events at Professional Beauty, and you are probably one of the most popular panel speakers that we have, talking around how to pay top salaries to a team. Do you want to just elaborate a little bit on that?
I feel that I want my team to earn as much as they possibly can. But I also want to be marketing the business at the top end of the industry. I've always said I want our treatments and our salon to be the Chanel of the industry. You can go to any shop and buy a handbag, but people strive to buy a Chanel bag. I want people to be really proud about our clients, really proud to come into the salon. If we're charging in excess of 150, 200, 750 pounds for a facial, then the therapist should benefit from that. And it's just making them feel appreciated and worthwhile. They work hard and they train hard. I spend a lot of time training the girls. They're professionals. They should be paid a decent amount because they are professionals. No one queries a lawyer earning £500 an hour and earning in excess of six figures. I want my therapists to earn the best that they possibly can. I want them to have the best lifestyle they possibly can.
Yeah. And how do you do that? When you recruit, are you always recruiting qualified therapists, or have you gone down the apprenticeship route as well? Or what's your ideal? Is it to have someone who's fresh out of college, worked somewhere else, or is it just, I always recruit on personality. I always think you can teach somebody anything but that
you definitely get a
attitude.
vibe from someone. Even that first 5-minute initial conversation that you have over FaceTime or Zoom, you get a vibe whether you think that person is going to be good or not, irrespective of what it says on their CV. I'll spend 5 minutes with most applicants, unless they're completely out of what I'm looking for that particular role. I'll do a lot of those initial 5-minute interviews. And you just get a vibe for someone. But I haven't gone down the apprenticeship route. I think we've grown so fast that there hasn't been the capability of me having that time to go to spend time with them and nurture an apprentice. But we have had work experience girls. We've had work experience girls from 16 at school, where they have to do a 2-week work experience, and then we've had day release as well, from level 2 and level 3 upwards. And I also recruit experienced therapists, because when you're looking at level 4 and level 5 treatments, and we do a lot of laser, we do a lot of medical grade facials, you need that experience. So depending on what role I'm looking for, then I'll recruit across the board.
So when you take someone on work experience, I know for a lot of salons, they just think, it's just extra
washing up, making tea, folding the laundry.
Yeah, it's just an extra responsibility looking after this other person in your salon, and finding things for them to do. How do you handle that and turn it into finding out their potential rather than just having them washing up kind of thing? Do you have it? Do you allow them to shadow with therapists, or?
We do, mainly in the manicure and pedicure room. and then they'll do treatment. The girls will do treatments on them, or they'll, depending on the client really, because a lot of clients, when you've had a salon for quite a long time, the client and the therapist build a relationship, and sometimes that client doesn't want someone else in the room because they're very intimate with the therapist and they tell them a huge amount. I mean, we are counsellors to a certain degree as well. So not always. So they don't always shadow. But I do interview them. I do sit them down and say, look, this is the reality of being a work experience girl. You know, for the first couple of months, it is going to be a little bit boring. You are going to be making tea and coffee and laundry and cleaning. We've all done it. And I say this, we've all done it. We've all been cleaning for salons, and the girls still do. But my team are so inclusive with everyone that comes in, and it helps that we have 2 front of house that work every day. Yeah. So the front of house are very good with the work experience girls, especially if they're level 2 work experience as well. They really take them under their wings, and I'm proud that we're not fully booked all the time. It's something that's been really important to me, that the girls do have some white space, because otherwise they'd burn out. Yeah. So they do spend time with the work experience girls.
Yeah. And the thing is that I know with, we don't allow shadowing, but that is, again, because of that bond kind of thing. But it is a great way to find raw talent to bring in, and so yeah, it's definitely a way forward, because especially when someone's just come out of college, again, it's finding that you can tell if someone's going to fit in and things. So definitely a good move. And the thing is as well, because I know obviously you use your salon software to the limit, and I know you've got Forest in. Yeah. And the thing is that, do you involve the team in that as well, in looking at how they're doing themselves, or do you take data out from that? How do you work it?
So we've had Forest for 7 or 8 years now, so quite a long time. I wouldn't be without it. I don't think I could. I don't think I could run my business without it now. My bi-monthly newsletters are all the data is taken from that. My accountants have got access to Forest so that they can do the P&Ls, or as Jo says, the profits, because we don't have losses in her clients. And the girls all have the app on their phones. So any reviews come through, they get a ping. So they see all their reviews instantly. They can see how they're doing. All the way through, all the reports. It's just fantastic. I love it. I actually still feel as if there's a lot of Forest that I haven't, that I still need to dive into.
I always like to say this. I think we use this much of this much. And I know it was great when we all went over to Dublin from Beauty Directors.
I'm still waiting for the next one.
I know, and to learn, like, because there is so much in there, isn't there? But I think you cherry pick what you need. But then I'm sure that there are so many things that we still could be using to even more potential. Yeah. So it's like, and that's what I love about it, is it's ever evolving, and they listen as well. So they listen to what you want. So yeah, I'm a big Forest fan.
They can't help it with the Beauty Directors Club, really, can they?
No, we're very opinionated, but good opinions.
Yes,
good opinions.
Always.
So the thing is that obviously you started entering awards.
I did.
Yeah.
That's your fault, that is. You're so encouraging of everyone.
I know.
So you've got to enter, even if you don't press submit. Practice.
I know, but the thing is that I always think with awards, I think it's probably 15 years now I've been judging, but I can always remember writing down when we wanted to win Salon of the Year, and obviously it was then pretty unheard of for a small town salon, although we were in the large category. We were in a small town amongst big city salons. And I was just thinking, right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. And then the fact that I could do it, I just think, it's just putting yourself out there. And once you put yourself out there, it's writing down all the great things that you do that you take for granted. And you look at your entry and you just like think, wow, I've done all this, and then press send and it goes.
You're just bragging about yourself. It's great.
But that's a very British thing that we don't do, is it? It's crazy because even now, I mean, with the beauty roundup events and things, you guys stand up and inspire so many people on what you've achieved, and that's, I think, always the greatest thing that we get back from the network events at the PB shows is that someone's always like saying, I didn't think I could go to that level. And I know so many who have started entering awards and and have made friendships and from just everyone coming together. Because I always think that, I know you were saying earlier about that not salons don't network in their own area, but when I very first started doing network events years and years ago, everyone was like, oh, I'm not going to go if this local salon's there. But then once everyone's together, I always think there's enough work for everyone, and it's you are very, very specific on your clientele.
Yeah.
And the clients who come to you won't necessarily go to another salon. We have another salon directly next door to us, and we have very different clients who come in. The thing is that I always liken it to handbags. You can buy a handbag for £5, or you can buy a handbag for £5,000.
Yeah. And the handbag that you want, your friend wants a completely different handbag.
And obviously you got very, very specific on who your ideal client.
But again, that's down to you from Salon Success Freedom. It's know your avatar.
Yeah.
So, and it's, everyone talks about manifesting now. I know you and I have been manifesting for years and years, but I knew that I had my avatar. And actually, I think we discussed it last year. It may have been in Malta in January, that I now have 2 avatars.
Yes.
Because we have 2 different clientele. We've got a team that are older, and we've got a team that some of them are younger. So certain clients gravitate towards some therapists, and others will gravitate towards others. So we now have more than one avatar.
Yeah, totally. And the thing is that, so do you find that hard marketing to 2 avatars then, or?
Interestingly, I was chatting to someone at an event on Monday, and she said, do I send out 2 separate emails? And I haven't up until now. We don't discount, and we don't offer very, very often. A couple of times a year I'll do a special offer. And I suppose it's a little bit like stores. There are certain stores that you constantly see that are discounted, and I'll just say, well, I won't buy from them until they do their next discount, because I know they're going to do a discount. And then you've got other higher end stores that might do a sale twice a year, but the other times you buy when it's full price. So we do some offers with our newsletters. I do a monthly newsletter, and then in the middle of the month, I do a Paula Loves newsletter.
Oh, I love that.
We get so many clients that say to the girls, what's Paula doing? What's Paula wearing? What makeup is she wearing? What products is she using? What treatments is she doing now? So we started a Paula Loves, and it's great. So in that one, I can talk a little bit more about the health side and what treatments that I think are suitable for different ages as well.
And do you do that just as a written one?
Yeah.
You should start and do a video one as well. That would be brilliant.
Steady on, I'm here. I don't like talking in the camera.
But I think that's brilliant. Have you tested and measured which gets the better response from the standard newsletter or the Paula Loves?
I get more replies from the Paula Loves, but that is supposed to be more. I wanted to create a community, and with clients, it's a little bit more delicate. There are clients that don't want to talk about their treatments, and they kind of gatekeep a little bit. So I get a lot more interaction. I wanted to try and create a community that was an anonymous community. So I'll ask questions in that email, whereas my newsletter is more facts and if there's going to be an offer that month, or if when Mabel was born, when Molly had Mabel a couple of months ago, that went into the newsletter. So they're different. They do different things, but I definitely get more engagement from the Paula Loves email that goes out.
I absolutely love that idea. I think that is so good. That is brilliant. So moving forwards, what are the next plans for the Heart Spa in you? Because obviously, just looking at like now, just before we move on, I think that is a very, very relevant point when you've got Paula Loves, because that is because of your profile that you've raised. And there's a lot of salons who are faceless. And because we are very, very, like, people, even now, clients love to know what I'm doing, even though I'm not involved with the business. Same with you. But, you know, I look at some salons and there's nothing about who owns the business, nothing about the team or anything like that, just about the treatments. And I think that is very, very relevant that even, I always like to say, you're not your business. It just needs to be profitable and lucrative friend. But the thing is that you have to have that presence as that person who is the driving force behind it. And because clients, and I always like to say this, you know, I could still walk into my salon, even though I don't do treatments. I could walk in and take a product off the shelf and sell it to a client just because it's me, not because I'm a great salesperson, because they trust me. And I think this is what you have done hugely by being that key person in your business. And the business is the business, and you are that key person who everyone looks up to.
It's really interesting, actually, because up until a few months ago, the social media account was very much the Heart Spa. And I keep being told, you need to talk more. You need to do more demonstrations on Instagram. You need to put more onto the business page about you. Everyone is fascinated about you. So very slowly, I've started to do a little bit more. And the engagement and the feedback is huge. You can talk about a facial that has given incredible results, and you'll get a couple of comments, a couple of DMs. And I post something like, oh, I'm coming on Susan's podcast, and you get like so many DMs come through, and people are fascinated. And it's the same with the girls as well. If I put something about the girls, there's a lot more interaction. They want to know about us. They trust the business. They trust that we're going to look after them, but they're curious about us. And so it's really interesting that, you know, that will continue as well.
And I think that's just going to become bigger and bigger as social media moves on, and I think everyone's just curious too. I mean, it's like podcasts and things. Everyone's very curious. It's like listening in on someone's conversation, isn't
We're
it?
all just nosy, really, aren't we?
But you know, that's what clients are buying into, the personal service, which amazing. So back to the other question I was going to ask. So what's next for the Heart Spa and for you, Paula?
For the salon, I just want to bigger and better. I want the girls. We have one-to-ones every 2 months. And the first thing I say to them is, how are you feeling? Is there anything you want to do? What training do you want to do? Is there anything that's inspiring you at the moment? So I don't think there's a couple of treatments that we may bring in. We're both going to Manchester. So I'm hoping that they'll be there, that I can talk to them. If not, it will be Pro Beauty London. So there's a couple of treatments that I'm talking to people about at the moment. But apart from that, the team is really, really important to me, and I want to make sure that they're really happy, building a stronger business. For me personally, I'm not sure. There's two directions that I'm not sure which direction I want to go into yet. When we were talking about the submissions, the Pro Beauty and award submissions, I get so much joy out of telling people what I've done and how I've done it. I think I'd like to talk more about that. And the Roundup events are fantastic. And I think it's really important to share that knowledge.
Yeah,
I'm so fortunate and very, very blessed that I love my job. And I don't say lucky because it isn't luck. I've worked really, really hard to get where I am. But I'm very blessed to wake up every day and love my job and love my life. And I want to give back. I want to share that information. Yeah. So I definitely want to go down that route. But my team mean the world to me. They really do. So spending time with them is really important and continuing to build the business.
Amazing. Oh, Paula, thank you so much. So if anyone wants to, well, I would highly recommend to go and have a look at the Heart Spa because it is such an inspiration, I think, as a model business. It's a beautiful space, and I can't wait to come and visit soon. So if someone wants to find out more about the Heart Spa, what's the best way for them to do that?
We're big on Instagram, so we're at _heart_spa_7oaks. So the Heart Spa Sevenoaks. We are on Facebook as well. And so you can drop me a DM on either of those. You can email us at theheartspa7oaks.co.uk, or you can go onto Google and find us.
Fabulous. Well, Paula, it's been amazing having you on the show. Thank you so much.
I've loved it. It's been brilliant.
I can't wait to see your next journey.
Thank you.